About a month ago, I went through an ultimate investing guide for the Scarlet and Violet era, but I went through all of the Scarlet and Violet era sets to basically rank which one's the best ones to be spending your money on right now, right? So we're coming to the end of 2024. I haven't yet talked about Sword and Shield. That's what we're going through today. So we're going through an ultimate guide of investing in Sword and Shield, because Sword and Shield has kind of been and gone. A lot of the booster boxes in the sets have started to climb up and gain a lot of value over the past 12 months. Today we're going through a tier list. We're going through every single Sword and Shield era set, including the special sets, ranking which ones are great to spend your money on and where I think they'll go for that long term. Of course, things will change over time when the market shifts, but today we're doing a little bit of a snapshot, but we're looking back throughout the year of 2024 and seeing what's been going on with Sword and Shield and which set should we look at for the future. So let's get into it. So here we have the tier list. I'm going to be ranking all of the Sword and Shield era sets, starting with base set all the way through to Crown Zenith. Now, when I'm looking at these sets, I am not judging them on which sets I like because the artwork or the Pokemon that's in it that I like or anything like that. I'm not looking at that. What I'm looking at is the growth of the products in the set, the growth of the chase cards in the set, and the overall value that the set brings, okay? When I looked through the Scarlet and Violet era, I basically, ranked these sets with those criteria in mind. I took away my emotions, as it were, and, me going, oh, I like this card, I like that card. That was moved aside. It was just looking at the financial side of things and how well the sets have performed. Now, the difference between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield has been and gone. Scarlet and Violet has a lot of things changing for it. Whereas Sword and Shield, when we look at it today, all of these are out of print. They are, gaining in value, some more than others, some more than others. So today we'll be going through them. We look at TCG Player and PokeJace.io today for all the information that you need. Let's jump into Sword and Shield base. Okay, so we're looking at Sword and Shield base, kicking things off. So at the moment, this booster box is sitting at $330 roughly. It has gone up a little bit over the past 3 months, but let's look at the past year so we can get a good snapshot. It's been growing. So, it's a base set. You wouldn't think it's that great, but Sword and Shield base has done very well holding that value. It really has done well. It's been sat above $300, around $250 to $300 for a long time, but we've seen some real good growth over the past year. And that is one thing to take into consideration. You could be like, is it going to be great to really put my money into Sword and Shield base? It is quite pricey. When the set came out, it was around the pandemic time, just before the pandemic hit. So we're looking at a set where, it had that difficulty and availability, as it were, as well, and a lot of hype around the Sword and Shield era. So this one is an interesting one because it has been growing. I kind of feel like it's going to make small, little incremental gains. I mean, 14% in a year is pretty good, especially from where it once was, right? Because it did actually drop, right, to $267. So it's gained $60 from its lowest point, which was earlier on this year. That is actually quite promising. And then when we take a look at Sword and Shield, we can see the overall value of the set. The total value, if you want to collect the whole set, is $314. So you can complete a master set of this set for less than a booster box. Is that a good thing for this set moving forward? No. I tend to look at a lot of these sets. I'm like, right, where is this value in this set to make it really worth, sinking your teeth into and have that desirability for people to open in the future? And this set really doesn't have it, right? We look at the top cards in the set. We got the Snorlax sitting at $40. And then after that, this set doesn't really contain a lot of value. And it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. The thing is, you can still pick up Sword and Shield base set booster packs for around about $4 to $5, which is less than what the booster box is going for. So if you're going to go for sealed for this set, it is quite high, high entry point. And on top of that, the value of the set just really isn't there. The fact it's less than a booster box is quite concerning. So looking at the list, where would I put Sword and Shield base? I mean, it's got an expensive high entry point. Do I see it continuously gaining that value in the future? When we look at previous base sets in the past, Sun and Moon base didn't really perform very well. X and Y did okay. And then, of course, if you go back to Black and White and beyond, they've done very well. So for me, I would say that I would probably put Sword and Shield in C. I wouldn't say it's terribly bad. Like D is just trash, right? But I wouldn't say it's massively bad, but I just don't really see the growth potential for this base set. And I think you could spend money elsewhere in sets that will do better long term. All right, next up we have Rebel Clash, Rebel Trash, as a lot of people like to say. Now, the second set coming into Sword and Shield, you know, it's come off the back of a base set, which was kind of mediocre. Now, Rebel Clash is an interesting one. It is a set where not a lot of people like it, so it kind of has this negative feeling upon it. But let's take a look to see how well the sealed product has performed. So when we look at the booster box, we can see here $223. Over the past 3 months, it's crept up a little bit. Over the past year, it's pretty much stable, 2% difference. In fact, it has taken a bit of a dip from its all-time high at around $230 over the past year. Look, it is not the best set. In my opinion, it's one of the weakest sets in the Sword and Shield era. I don't rate it. It just has that really weak potential. It hasn't really performed well, even though we saw the base set actually climb, you know, a pretty decent amount, like nearly 15% in a year. That's really good going at a price point that's already quite high. Rebel Clash, however, it's just not performing very well, and it hasn't over the past year. Again, not the cheapest, not the most expensive entry point, but still paying over $200 for a booster box that isn't really moving much is not the best. Then we look at the value of this set, $378. So it is more than the booster box, unlike Sword and Shield base. So we're looking at roughly nearly 50% more value for the entire set. I do feel like as far as cards go, this is a better performing set because obviously it's more than base. It's a lower entry point as well. But is there really any real big money cards in this set? Again, $40 or less. No real big chase cards. When I look at, you know, how strong a set is how many cards over $10, how many cards over 20, 30, 40, 50, is there a $100 card? You know, things like that. Again, this set just doesn't have it. So again, so I would say that Rebel Clash is not the best one. So where would I put it? Where would I put Rebel Clash? Is it worse than Sword and Shield base? Do I feel like that growth is going to be better for it long term? I actually think that it's worse than Sword and Shield base. We have seen with Sword and Shield base that it has climbed already in the past year. Rebel Clash hasn't done anything. Yes, the entry point is cheaper. That doesn't mean it's better. Next up, we got Dance Ablaze. This one, again, like Rebel Clash, a lot of people talked about Dance Ablaze of being a bad set. Now, when it came out, it was like super hype. The Charizard was like the big chase card. It did come out during the height of the pandemic. So everybody wanted this, right? Everybody wanted the packs. Everybody wanted to just try and hunt this Charizard. And things were quite expensive at the time. Over time, however, Dance Ablaze has not really performed very well, especially when it comes to the single cards in the set, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And even the booster box hasn't really moved much. We'll take a look at Dance Ablaze. We're looking at $154 for a Dance Ablaze booster box. Over the past 3 months, it's gone up by about 3%. Over the past year, it's gone up 15%. So that is pretty good, right? We are seeing a little bit of growth. Now, here's the interesting thing. Over a year ago, this booster box really hadn't moved much. There was a lot of reprints happening. And as you can see, it did actually go up to around $150. It did drop a little bit back down to that $137. And now it has climbed back up to where it once was a year ago. So it is making growth, kind of on the same level as Sword and Shield base. It does have a much lower entry point as well, at $154 compared to the previous two sets that we looked at. Or, you know, in my opinion, I still think this is one of the weakest sets in the Sword and Shield era, but we'll have to wait and see. So when we look at the Dance Ablaze, overall value $172, one of the weakest sets going. Even though it's got the big boy Charizard, it's only holding $23. The most expensive card on the set is only $23. Yes, it's slightly more than the value of a booster box, but it's half the value of the previous two sets we just looked at. That is very, very poor. And it's a shame, right? Because high hopes were for Dance Ablaze when it came out, and it's just really just fell flat on its face. Where do I see it going moving forward? It's an interesting one. Yes, it's a Charizard set, but that Charizard is just normal VMAX. So it's quite easy to pull as well. It's not like, it's not a rainbow. It's not tough to find. It is quite easy. That's one of the reasons why the value is so low. It's not a really good set. So where would I put Dance Ablaze in all this? I'm actually probably going to put Dance Ablaze in the D tier. I think Dance Ablaze is a poor performing set. It hasn't really shown much growth, so that is quite disappointing. It is a shame, but it's just the way it goes. Next up, we got a special set, which is Champion's Path, another Charizard set. Two massive Charizards in this one, which is quite cool. You know, one of them's my favorite, but we're not looking at which ones I prefer. it's how well this set has performed as a special set. So it's the first special set in the Sword and Shield era. How well has it performed? So no booster boxes for this set, just an ETB. Let's see where the ETB lies. We're looking around $100 for this one. Over the past year, it's gone up by 6%. It did actually go as high as 120, which is pretty promising, but it has fallen down to $100. It's an interesting one. Again, we're looking at an ETB, so it has kind of nearly doubled in value since its release, which is pretty promising. You know, when we start looking at like other ETB specialist sets in the Sword and Shield era, we're going to be looking at stuff like Shining Fates, Crown Zenith. Where does Champion Path sit in all this, right? We've just come off the back of a, you know, Charizard set with Darts Ablaze that has long-term performed poorly. What about this one? Is the value in the set there? There are two big Charizards that kind of carry this set. Outside of those Charizards, it's kind of weak. It's an interesting one. Is it going to be a great one for that long-term sealed, however? When we look at Champion's Path, the value is there, right? Nearly $400 for this set, but it is in these two Charizards, right? We have a Charizard here, $166. The Rainbow VMAX, $158. These two cards really do carry the set. The rest of the set, however, incredibly poor performing. I mean, the fact is that we're looking at, you know, under $10 or less for the rest of the set is really not good. But we have seen sets in the past, like this, Burning Shadows is a prime example, where it has a huge Charizard card and the rest of the set is incredibly poor, but it is seeing gains over time because people really want to try and pull that Charizard. And unlike Darts Ablaze, these two Charizards are actually chase cards. Like, these two are actually massive chase cards to find, which will help. So the fact is that the value of the set, pretty much in two cards, is nearly 4 times the value of an ETB, is pretty good. But what about the ETB for that long term? I think it is got potential down the line. I just think it's a very, very slow burner in my opinion. So if I had to put Champion's Path anywhere, I would still put it in low C. I'd put it above Darts Ablaze. I'd put it above Rebel Clash. But I think it has that potential just because of those two Charizards. And they're two real big chase cards that can really drive the set forward. So we haven't had a great start in the Sword and Shield era so far. The first 4 sets, we're looking at C and D tier. Not really that great. But don't worry, things will improve. Vivid Voyage up next. Rainbow Chonkachu. Again, like Darts Ablaze, big buzz around the set when it came out. You know, again, it was hit at an awkward time. Everybody wanted it. And, you know, it had a subset in there with the amazing rares, which kind of helped that set as well. But it did have a real big chase card, which was so difficult to pull and still is so difficult to pull. So let's look at Vivid Voltage booster boxes. We're looking at 147, so it's gone up 10% over the past 3 months. We go back over the past year, and it's gone up about 11%. So again, we're looking at a set that has seen some movement. You know, 11% is pretty good going. It's cheaper than Darts Ablaze, which is pretty good. Okay, we're looking at a more cheaper Sword and Shield era booster box. I think that's pretty decent, right? It's seen a little bit of growth. It's nothing crazy, and you do have a big chase card in it, right? The fact it's grown in value recently, and it's continuing to grow bit by bit. 11 to 12% is pretty decent. It's the cheapest booster box that we've seen so far. It's quite an interesting one. There was a lot of Vivid Voyage around, just like Darts Ablaze. There was just an absolute ton of it. So I think this one has good potential. So when we look at the set of Vivid Voyage, $306, so a little bit less than Champion's Path, Rebel Clash, Sword and Shield base, but still more than Darts Ablaze. A lot of it is in the Chonkachu with over $100 card. And then we go straight into $10 or less. So again, another set that's heavily carried by an individual card. That's not a problem if the individual card is something that was definitely worth chasing. And this Rainbow Chonkachu is worth chasing. Similar to Champion's Path, I do feel like Vivid Voyage really does have that potential. And people want to try and grab it. You know, people really want to try and grab the Pikachu, of course. So Vivid Voyage is still around quite a bit. You know, it's not like it's hard to find. And it is cheaper, you know, for a booster box compared to the other sets. So that is actually pretty good. So where would I put Vivid Voyage, right? It's definitely better than Darts Ablaze, right? Has a big chase card. Better than Rebel Clash. We're looking at it compared to Champion's Path. Champion's Path does have 2 big chase cards in it. The rest of the set is kind of trash. Vivid Voltage, we're looking at, you know, just under 150 a box. So we compare it to Sword and Shield, where both sets have seen good gains, you know, over the past year. The entry point is half the price of Vivid Voyage compared to Sword and Shield, and it does have the Rainbow Chonkachu, which does help, right? We have a $100 card, which is a real big chase card. Again, looking back at sets like a Burning Shadows for the Charizard. So I would actually put Vivid Voyage at a high C. I think it is better than Sword and Shield base because of that cheaper entry point, and on top of that, the Chonkachu does help and does carry the set. Wouldn't quite make it in B tier, but definitely high C tier. Right, another specialty set, holiday set, we got Shining Fates coming in. Shining Fates was heavily printed. I mean, they reprinted the living daylights out of this poor set. Again, another Charizard set, Shiny Charizard VMAX this time. I really rated Shining Fates for the longest time. I still like the set, even though it has not performed very well. So, a set that doesn't have a booster box, similar to Champions Path, we're looking at the ETB sitting at $50. It has gained 14% over the past 3 months, and over the past year overall it's gained 12%. Again, this product was everywhere. You could have opened up Shining Fates, you could find it anywhere, right? It was super cheap, super available, and they kind of did the same with Paldean Fates as we've seen in Scarlet and Violet, where it's really easy to find. But Paldean Fates, in my opinion, is considerably better than Shining Fates. Unfortunately, Shining Fates is the weakest of the Fates trilogy, you know, Hidden Fates, Shining Fates, and Paldean Fates. It is the weakest one. But then again, it is showing some growth, right? Over the past year, going up by 12%. Yes, it's not like breaking the bank and going absolutely crazy. It's not like Champions Path, where it's twice as expensive. But it is still making moves. So we look at Shining Fates. The overall value of this set, $322. 83 of that is in the Charizard. Now, one thing with the Fate set, yes, the next card and below is under $10. There is a lot of value in the set because there's so many baby shinies to collect and open in these sets. We see with Paldean Fates, we see with Hidden Fates, and with Shining Fates. So that helps drive the overall value of the set higher. So we're looking at an ETB that's $50. We're looking at a value around $322. So quite similar, right? Similar ballpark figure to a lot of these sets that we've already looked at. The only one that was like really bad was Darza Blaze. So yes, I feel like this one is, you know, middle of the road, pretty decent, nothing like super crazy. But unfortunately, I think due to heavy reprints, yes, it's seen growth. Yes, the value is there. It just isn't enough. It does have the Big Chase Charizard, which, you know, again, a lot of people do like, so that may help it. So where would I put Shining Fates? It's an interesting one, right? It is half the price of Champions Path. It does have a Big Chase Charizard in it, whereas Champions Path has 2 Big Chase Charizards in it. Where do I see Shining Fates go? I actually think Shining Fates will probably sit just above Champions Path. I think Shining Fates has enough in the set, along with all of the full art shinies and the baby shinies and the overall value, and the fact it's half the price of Champions Path gives it that room to grow in the long term. Champions Path might just sit around that $100 to $110, $120 and just stay there, whereas Shining Fates has that potential to reach $100, and especially with a $50 price entry point, it's pretty good. On to Battle Styles. First set that introduced the alternate arts. Now, the alternate arts were a huge success in the Sword and Shield era. Battle Styles was not well received. At the time of release, a lot of people weren't that excited in the set, had terrible pull rates. It's kind of interesting. Kind of people look back at Battle Styles and they're like, yep, it was an absolute trash set. At the time, people would argue it's one of the worst sets. But it's kind of grown on people over time. So when we look at Battle Styles booster boxes, we're looking at $134. It's climbed 6% over the past 3 months. And then over the past year, it's gained 27%, which is incredible. Very, very good performing. Battle Styles was, you know, around $100 for the longest time. People didn't care, you know, just kind of got forgotten about. Everyone else was going out, getting Chill and Rain, all these other sets that were around at the time. Battle Styles was just, you know, left behind. And, you know, it does bring in the alternate arts, and I think that's going to help it in that long run. I really do think that in the long run, Battle Styles are going to do very well. This is the cheapest booster box we've seen, right? This is the cheapest one so far. And I think it's actually the cheapest out of the whole Sword and Shield era, which will help it in the long term as well. So when we look at the overall value of Battle Styles, we're looking at $510. We've seen a real big push now in the overall value of these sets, right? All the sets we just looked at were around that $300 range. This is the first one that's just drove straight past it at $500, and the arts do help. You got my Sleepy Boy Tyranitar fetching $140. We've now seen a real big money card, right? But then you look at the rest of the set compared to the ones we just looked at. We've got the arts, right? And the arts are ranging around that $50 and less. And this is what I want to see in a set for me to feel like it's going to be a good one moving forward. And I do still feel like Battle Stars has some real big chase cards. Yes, there are a lot of rainbows and golds that aren't worth a huge amount, but I think the alternate arts, especially with the Tyranitar, is really pushing things forward with this set. So we're looking at a booster box that's around $130, $135. It's got over $500 worth in value. We've seen a lot of these alt arts climb over the past 12 months. Very, very promising. And I think down the line, as time moves on, we're going to be looking at these sets that do contain alternate arts, and they're going to be desirable sets. Battle Stars has been climbing. Booster boxes gained 30% already. So where does it go? Where does Battle Stars go? In my opinion, it's better than all of the sets we've just looked at, right? We've seen it. We've seen that real big growth that it's had over the past year. It's got those alt arts going for it. It is, in my opinion, a pretty solid one. So I'm going to put Battle Stars in B. I wouldn't put it in A tier because I feel like there are other sets that are going to be better, but it really does have that potential in the long run. Next up, Chillin' Rain. Chillin' Rain has done exceptionally well. Booster boxes not too long ago, about a year ago, was pretty cheap, and then they shot up massively. All the cards in the set went crazy. There are a ton of alt arts in the set as well. You've got real big chase cards in the Blaziken. On top of that, you've got the legendary birds, the golden Snorlax. There's just so much stuff going for this set. And Tough Paw Rays as well. It's an interesting one. It really is an interesting set. So when we look at a Chillin' Rain booster box, we're looking at $230. So we've really seen some real big growth for this set. 3% over the last 3 months. Over the past year, 56% in value. Absolutely crazy. We looked at all these other previous sets and they've gained value, right? Rebel Clash gained value, Sword and Shield Base gained value, but Chillin' Rain really has been pushing to the absolute limit, to be fair. Where does this box go in the future, right? Because you'd be like, well, it's already gained, over 50% over the past year. Does it really have much left in it to continually grow over time? Yeah, it does, right? We look at previous eras, just go back to Sun and Moon. Even some of the okay-ish sets, not even kind of like mid sets, are like over $500 a box. It's crazy. Chillin' Rain, in my opinion, is better than a lot of those sets because it has so many chase cards in it. People really do like Chillin' Rain. So it's an interesting one. Do I see this going well in the future? Yeah, I think it's going to be easily a $500 box in the future. It depends how long it takes to get there and where is the ceiling for this. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If we look at Chillin' Rain, the value, $1,277 for this set. We just talked about Battle Stars. Battle Stars breaking $500. It was crazy. Look at this one. This is like 4 times the value of some of the sets we've even just looked at. It's crazy. Blaziken, nearly a $300 card. We've got Moltres over $100. We've got multiple cards around that $50 range, $30 range, $40 range. And you just keep scrolling down and it's just value after value after value. This is an incredible set. The fact is that it's broken over $1,000, in my opinion, makes it a very, very strong performer in the future. I do really think that Chillin' Rain has that potential. Again, it has the second most alt arts in the whole of the Sword and Shield era, which really does help it. And to have that value, when we look at a box, right? We look at a box, there's over $200, and the value of this set is what, like 5 to 6 times its value. That's crazy. That is legit crazy. So it'll be interesting to see, how well this will perform, whether or not a lot of these cards will start shifting up over time. I think they will. They already started to do so already, but it's just a matter of time. So where would I put Chillin' Rain? I think Chillin' Rain is going to be a very good one moving forward. I really do think so. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a very, very good performing set. I think it's going to be one where the booster boxes are going to reach $500 plus in the future. It's just a matter of time, right? So where would I put it? Where would I rank Chillin' Rain in all of this? If I'm being honest, I would put Chillin' Rain in S tier. I think Chillin' Rain is going to really perform well, and the entry point, in my opinion, is not too bad. I'm looking at $220, $230 a box, with the total value of the set being 1.2k plus. Very, very promising. All right, Evolving Skies, the big elephant in the room, as it were, the big top dog of the set. It is an incredible set, right? Probably one of the best sets in modern Pokemon history. It has just crushed it, absolutely crushed it. Let's take a look at what's been going on. So Evolving Skies booster boxes, at the moment the average market price is $836. It has climbed 27% over the past 3 months. Over the past year, it has climbed 91%. This is insane, right? This set is actually heavily printed. It's not like Team Up where there was a lot less around. This set is better than Team Up in my opinion, by far. We have a card in this set, which we'll look at in a minute, that has broke $1,000. We have multiple big alt arts in this set, which fetch an insane price tag. It is crazy, right? So the fact is that, you know, look at something like Team Up where a box is like 2.5k right now. Evolving Skies has been going from strength to strength. The fact is that a year ago, if you said to me when the set was $400, right, and it was sat around that mark for a while, you'd be like, in a year's time, do you think it would be over 800? I would have been like, no, absolutely not. But look what happened. I mean, it dropped a little bit, and then ever since the year started, it just went absolutely bonkers, and it stayed the same for several months, and then it's just gained some real big growth recently. This is insane. So, Evolving Skies value, 3.5k. 3.5k. We just talked about how great Chill and Rain is at 1.2k value, with an entry point of $200 or $230. Evolving Skies entry point, yes, is a lot higher, over $800, but this set has 3.5k in value. That's nuts. That's just crazy. Umbreon, over $1,000. We've got the Rayquaza over $400. Several cards over $200. Several cards around $100. And if you keep scrolling down, you're seeing cards at $50, $60, $30, $40. You just keep going, and it's just money after money, 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 money. It's just crazy. Even some of the full arts are over $10, which normally you don't tend to get in a lot of these sets. This is incredible. The rainbows are gaining insane value as well. The fact is that we have like a Sylveon Rainbow VMAX at $38. You know, we've got Rayquaza, Umbreon. It's just crazy. And then the ORs as well. This set is, in my opinion, the best modern era set. You know, you could talk about 151 being really good, but I just don't think 151 has anything on Evolving Skies. It just doesn't. And this set is just absolutely insane. So where do we put it? Yes, the entry point is very high. It is over $800 a box. Where do I see it going in the future? Where is that ceiling, and how much more? I actually, you know, think that it will go pretty well. I've said before that it's at least $1,000 booster box. I even think that we could be seeing in the future it reaching that Team Up levels 2k. I think is a reasonable thing to think about. I mean, it's obvious where it's going to go. It is top level S tier. It is just, if there was a separate tier, it would be above that, right? But it is just such a good set, even at that price point. I mean, I'm not talking about like going in and buying an absolute ton of this set because it's so expensive, but even if you just have one box. All right, into celebrations now. Specialty set, big hype set. Everybody loved this set. It was the anniversary. Honestly, this set was just hyped up to the absolute max. Like, it was crazy how like wild people went for this set. So we look at the ETB. There are a lot of other products in the celebrations range, not just the ETB. We had the Pokemon Center ETB, we had the UPC as well. But let's just look at the normal ETB. It has been going up. It's gained about 4% over the past 3 months, and over the past year, it's about 5%. So no real crazy growth. It's kind of just been quite stale. We've seen the UPC actually drop in value. Pokemon Center ETB hasn't really gone up much either. The set really isn't moving. Yes, it's a fun set to open. It was heavily printed, similar to Shining Fates. Just absolutely just flooded the market. And it's a small set. It's quite easy to complete. So it's going to be an interesting one moving forward. Yes, you know, you could look at Generations and be like, oh, well, you know, Generations is really expensive. Yeah, it is. But Celebrations, I just don't see it getting to that level. I really don't. I mean, it was printed way more than Generations. So where is, you know, the future for Celebrations? Celebrations is split into two little subsets. We have the normal set, which is $30 in value, which isn't a huge amount. And then we have the classic collection, so they combine to make Celebrations. So we're looking at around about $180, $190 in total for the set. Not the best. We just looked at a $3,500 set. Now we're looking at one that's less than $200. Not really that great, kind of similar on that Dark Blaze level. Not even close to Shining Fates either. That's an interesting one. So let's take a look. You got the Charizard, obviously with the base set artwork coming in. One thing I did hear from a lot of people is they just don't like the stamp that is on a lot of these cards. But it's nice to see throwback cards anyway, like the Shiny Magikarp, the Umbreon, and stuff like that, the Blastoise. It's just a blast from the past, pun intended. But yes, overall the set is pretty poor, right? The overall value of the set is quite weak. Yes, the Charizard is carrying the set, but only at $75. It is not doing that great. So where would I put Celebrations in all this, right? I want to compare it to the other specialty sets, and if I had to compare it to Shining Fates and Champion's Path, in my opinion, I think that it has the potential to grow. It's definitely better than Champion's Path, even though Champion's Path has two real big chase cards. I think the nostalgia of Celebrations is going to do very well. Is it better than Shining Fates? I would say it is, even though the value is not necessarily there to some extent. I would probably put Celebrations. It's definitely C tier. I think the entry point of Celebrations is probably going to be above Vivid Foliage. I think I would have to put it in high C because of the potential similar to Generations, but I just don't see it being that great. Fusion Strike, set that no one really cared about, kind of got forgotten, to be honest. It did come out amongst like incredible sets, so it makes it super tough and super difficult, but it is definitely an interesting one for the future, and I think it is going to be pretty good. I mean, it's already done very well. Bearing in mind, not a lot of people like the set to begin with. It has really performed exceptionally well, to be fair. So we look at a Fusion Strike booster box. We're looking at $227, so pretty much similar to Chilling Reign. These two sets have kind of been neck and neck in growth, kind of at the same time, which is kind of interesting. We go back over the past year. This product has gained 53%, which is very, very impressive. And, you know, again, it's following the same suit as what Chilling Reign did. You know, so both Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike are kind of neck and neck in their growth. One good thing with Chilling Reign is it does have a lot more alt arts in the set compared to Fusion Strike, but Fusion Strike does have that big Gengar card and the Espeon, which really does help drive the set for the future. So when we look at the total value of this set, we're looking at $900, so around about $300 less than Chilling Reign. So we are seeing a bit less value, tougher pull rates as well, because, I mean, trying to find these cards is just incredibly difficult. And because there are a lot less alt arts in this set, it's noticeable. You do have the Gengar, though, big card, $320. The Espeon, $180. You combine those two cards, that's $500 of the value of the set gone straight away. So yes, there are some good cards in this set, good chase cards. You know, some cards worth over, well over 100. Then you've got cards that are 50, some cards that are 30, and even some other rainbows, alt arts, and full arts, which do hold somewhat value. Overall, though, where would I put Fusion Strike? Will I put it better than Chilling Reign? It is a lower value set than Chilling Reign, and yes, both Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign have both been neck and neck for the longest time. And yes, the Gengar is the real big chase card that everybody wants. Of course, the Espeon does help. Where would I put Fusion Strike, though? Evolving Skies and, like I say, Chilling Reign are just in a whole league of their own, which is just absolutely crazy. I'm going to put Fusion Strike in A tier. I don't think Fusion Strike is as good as Chilling Reign. I think Chilling Reign will perform better in the long run. Yes, they're both neck and neck with each other and how they've kind of had their growth over the past 12 months, which is kind of strange. But I think because the overall value of Chilling Reign is better, it's got more alt arts in the set as well. It does have a big chase card. You know, so does Fusion Strike, but I just think it's just edge a little bit to make it better. But I still think Fusion Strike is very, very good. Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars, heavy stacked set, lots of Charizards, really good trainer galleries. The first trainer gallery set that came into the Sword and Shield era. So you have this really good subset that makes it fun and exciting to open, and it means you don't get absolutely slammed when you crack open packs, because that's what happened in the early Sword and Shield. You just got absolutely wrecked if you wanted to crack packs. Whereas Brilliant Stars has been doing really, really well and is a strong set. So when we take a look at Brilliant Stars booster boxes, $185 over the past 3 months, hasn't really gained any value. Over the past year, it's gained nearly 40% in value. Pretty good. It was always a set that was a little bit more pricier than other sets at that time. Right, obviously Evolving Skies and League of its own, but you know, you had like Chilling Reign boxes at 90 to 100, Fusion Strike 90 to 100. You had you know, Battle Stars and the rest all around 90 to 100. But Brilliant Stars was always just that little bit more. It was just a little bit more than all the others, which is quite interesting. I think Brilliant Stars is, well, a brilliant set. It is good. It has, you know, big chase card in the Charizard, lots of Charizard in the set, decent amount of alt arts, good strong trainer gallery does help. The overall value of Brilliant Stars, we're looking at $720, so more than we've seen with Battle Styles, not quite as much as Fusion, not quite as much as Chill and Rain, and so forth. So it got a little bit less value. We got Big Charizard, right? 2 Big Charizards, one at over $100, one at $45. The overall value of Brilliant Stars has been going down. It has over time. A lot of these cards have been falling. Some of the other cards have gained a bit of value. The Umbreon VMAX, a lot of the Trainer Gallery cards have been pushing upwards. We saw it as well with the Evolutions, of course, Mimikyu. But then you have the legendary birds in this set as well, which does help. So it is a pretty stacked set. And like I said, the Trainer Gallery does help. And we do have that pretty decent value at 720. So where would I put Brilliant Stars? I would think Brilliant Stars is a really, really good set. I do. And I think it will perform pretty well in the long run. I just think it just needs, I don't know, just something about it. I think maybe a bit of Charizard fatigue. There was a lot of Brilliant Stars around. For me, I would put Brilliant Stars. I would put it in the low A. I think it's definitely better than Battle Styles, for sure. It's not quite as good as Fusion Strike. Fusion Strike is performing better than Brilliant Stars, but the Trainer Gallery does help the set. So I would put it in A tier. Astral Radiance, next Trainer Gallery set, some good amount of alt arts in the set. Pretty decent Trainer Gallery. Was always kind of the odd one out of the Trainer Gallery sets. It was a set where people were just like, whatever. Everyone was opening up Brilliant Stars and really enjoying Brilliant Stars at the time, and of course Evolving Skies and so on. So when we look at Astral Radiance, we're looking at $177. A booster box gained about 4 to 5% in the past 3 months. Over the past year, gained 47%. So again, pretty similar to Brilliant Stars. I think Astral Radiance, in my opinion, you know, was kind of forgotten to some degree, but I think it's now starting to gain that buzz about it, and it really seen some growth. It's pretty much the same price as the Brilliant Stars booster box. So you could be like, oh, you know, it's a pretty solid set. And I would agree, you know, Trainer Gallery does help as well. So we look at Astral Radiance, right? The value is there, similar to Brilliant Stars, right? Around that $700, $750 range. And again, you do have good Trainer Gallery, good amount of alt arts. You've got a big chase card in the Machamp, so you're looking at a card that's over $100. We got the Starmie Trainer Gallery coming in, over $50. We got some alt arts that are around that $30 range, a few cards over $20, and so on and so forth. So it does add up quite nicely. Even gold and rainbow cards are holding good amount of value. So yeah, you got a real big chase card, Machamp. Again, kind of tough pull rates, and even though you can get a good amount of pulls compared to the earlier Sword and Shield, it still is holding good value. And again, we're looking at a set less than Fusion, kind of similar to Brilliant Stars. It is a Trainer Gallery set, which will help Astral Radiance, I think, in the long run. Where would I put Astral Radiance? I would put Astral Radiance in A tier. I would put it just behind Brilliant Stars. I still think Brilliant Stars is probably a bit better. I think it's got a better Trainer Gallery with the Evolutions. Even though the Starmie is a little bit more in value, I do think the Evolutions will help Brilliant Stars. But Astral Radiance has that real potential. It's grown quite a bit, and especially in popularity, not just in value. And I do see, like, again, these sets really pushing higher limits in value, right? We talked about Chill and Rain being a $500 box in the future. Fusion Strike has that potential to get there. Brilliant Stars and Astral Radiance, I think they would take a little bit longer to get there, but I think they can get there. Next up, we're looking at Pokemon Go. Probably one of the worst sets in the Sword and Shield era. People just did not like this special set. They really didn't. It just didn't get received very well. It came out, in my opinion, way too late. It should have been released years ago. The pull rates are all over the show. It was just a weird one. So we look at a Pokemon Go ETB. We look at $42. It's dropped a little bit over the past 3 months. Over the past year, it has gained value. 27%. I mean, it was ridiculously cheap to begin with, so it really did have that growth. And that's one of the things I talked about when we looked at some of the other sets like Shining Fates. It does have that room to grow. You could argue that Pokemon Go has that room to grow, but just how good, you know, is it? How well will that ceiling hit? The Pokemon Center exclusive ETB of this set has not performed very well, so that's not a good sign either. It's just a really just poor performing set. It is quite fun to open, but it's not the best. So we look at Pokemon Go. The overall value here is $202. So not the best. I mean, we're looking at around a $40 ETB. We've got the Mewtwo Rainbow coming in at $30. And you look at the rest of the set, you got a few cards actually that are around that $20 and $10 to $20, which is pretty cool. Quite a lot of rainbows that do hold a little bit of value, but there's not really much in this set, right? There really isn't much in this set. So where would I see this set moving forward? $200, less than Shining Fates, more than Darkness Ablaze. You know, not quite as good as like Champion's Path, not as good as some of the other sets that we've seen. So where would I put Pokemon Go? I would actually, sounds crazy, but I would actually put Pokemon Go in D tier, but above Darkness Ablaze. I actually think that it does have room to grow more than Darkness Ablaze. I really do. $40 in ETB is cheap. Yes, the set is not the best, but the value is more than Darkness. It is better, but it's still not very good. So I'll probably avoid that. Lost Origin up next. Lost Origin has really boomed recently. Another good trainer gallery set. Has the big Giratina that everybody wants. You've got the Aerodactyl as well. So you've got real big chase cards in there. Not a huge amount of arts in this set compared to Astral and compared to Brilliant Stars. So it does have that going for it. Trainer gallery, mediocre. Again, not absolutely crazy, but still, you know, okay. So we look at Lost Origin. We're looking at $234 a booster box. So more than Brilliant Stars, more than Astral Radiance, and even more than Chill Rain and Fusion Strike. It's gone up 15% over the past 3 months. It did dip a little bit, but it has bounced back. Over the past year, it's gone up 75%. I remember when this booster box boomed, it was just crazy stuff. So yeah, very strong performance set. A lot of people love opening up Lost Origin, and you do have a real big chase card. I think Lost Origin is the best trainer gallery set that there is. I think it's a really, really good one. It's going to be interesting to see where the growth of this will go. Definitely a $500+ booster box in the future, without a shadow of a doubt. It really is doing incredible things, and I think it will just continue to grow each and every month, year on year, which is fantastic in my opinion. So we look at the overall value of Lost Origin, we're looking at $865. So more than Brilliant Stars, more than Astral Radiance, just a little bit less than Fusion Strike, but not quite on that Chill and Rain and Evolving Skies level. So where would I put Lost Origin? So Lost Origin overall doing pretty well, right? You've got Giratina, $360. You've got the Aerodactyl at $95. Then you've got other alt arts like the Rotom holding it over $30. Then you've got the Trainer Gallery with the 2 big Pikachus coming in, holding good value. And then you've got a good value, you know, in a lot of the rainbows and gold cards in the set as well. But yes, it is being heavily carried by 2 cards. That's fine. Very tough to pull. It is just an iconic chase card, the Giratina. It really is. So I think that will help the set in the future. But overall, the set's really good. People really enjoy Lost Origin, and we've seen incredible growth over the past year, beating Fusion Strike, and even beating, you know, and even beating Chill and Rain. And it's a much newer set. So where would I see Lost Origin go in the future? Right? I just said it's the best out of the Trainer Gallery set. So it's definitely better than Astral, definitely better than Brilliant. Is it as good as Fusion Strike? The overall value of the set is a little bit less than Fusion Strike, but the booster box is performing better. So where do I see, as far as like if I was going to invest in it in the long run, I would put it in top 8. I do think it's better than Fusion Strike. It's not quite as good as Chill and Rain in my opinion. I do think the amount of value of cards in Chill and Rain and the amount of alt arts in the set as well makes it just a bit better than Lost Origin. But I do think Lost Origin is very good. Just a little bit better than Fusion Strike. Then we're on to Silver Tempest, the last booster box set and the last Trainer Gallery set of the Sword and Shield era. Big chase card in the Lugia as well. There was a lot of buzz for this set when the Lugia came out. Everyone was waiting to see a Lugia card as an alt art, and we've got one. Trainer Gallery in the set, okay. You know, not the best Trainer Gallery either. And it did get reprinted alongside Lost Origin kind of at the same time. And of course, it's no longer available, so no longer reprint. So interesting. So we look at Silver Tempest. Where do we see Silver Tempest moving in the future? At the moment is $162, so it is less than Astral. It is less than Brilliant Stars, but it is doing relatively well. I mean, it dropped a little bit over the past 3 months, but over the past year overall, 44% increase. So we haven't seen it go up as high as some of the other Trainer Galleries. Of course, Lost Origin is way ahead. And it does have the Lugia. The pull rates are pretty decent. It does have a Trainer Gallery. It is like the most recent set as well as form of booster boxes. So you've got to keep that in mind. It hasn't had as long to grow in value. So it's done pretty well to be over $160 for a booster box, which is pretty good. You know, bearing in mind I had a reprint not too long ago, but then same with Lost Origin, and look how that one's gone. So when we take a look at Silver Tempest, we're looking at a value of $568. So less than all the other trainer gallery sets by $150 to $200, which is quite a big drop. The Lugia is the big chase card, $176. And then next to that is the Rayquaza from the trainer gallery at $30. And then we've got some alt arts. Not many alt arts in this set. I believe there's like 4. That's about it. They're not worth a lot of value. The rest of the set also doesn't really carry much value either. I mean, you've got a couple of nice gold and rainbow cards that are holding some value, but it's pretty much all in on that Lugia. It really is. And the overall value is good, right? It's more than Battle Styles. It is a bit less than the other sets that we've recently just looked at, even though this set is, you know, a good set, you know, good strong trainer gallery. It's just overall good set. It's a good solid set. But where would I put it though? I would actually put it in B tier. I think it's better than Battle Styles for sure, but not quite as good as Astral and Brilliant Stars. I kind of feel like the value isn't quite there. There isn't that, apart from the Lugia, there isn't really that huge drive to really want to crack open packs and have fun of Silver Tempest compared to some of the other sets that are in the B, and some of the other sets that are in the A and S tier. It just doesn't quite get there, but it's still a good set, you know. And I would say out of all these, anything that's like B and above are good sets to invest in. Then we finally have Crown Zenith, the final set of the Sword and Shield era. Well, a really good set to end it on, really, to be honest. But not only that, it is a specialty set, so it's going to be really interesting to see how well this one perform and where we would rank it compared to things like Shining Fates, Champions Path, Pokemon Go and Celebrations, because again, you know, it doesn't have a booster box, which is quite interesting. So we look at the Crown Zenith ETB. Again, no booster box, just an ETB. Yes, there's a Pokemon Center version, but we're just looking at the normal ETB. This one has gone up 13% over the past 3 months, so it is making gains, sitting at $54. We go back over the past year, and it's getting 27% gains. This set was heavily printed. I don't know if it's been printed as much as Shining Fates, or maybe even Celebrations, but definitely was heavily printed in the grand scheme of things. So keep that in mind, but it has grown. Celebrations hasn't really moved much. Shining Fates is slowly getting there. Shining Fates is a lot older as well. But then you look at Champions Path. Yeah, Champions Path has doubled the value, had that big boom, and it's just been sat at its price for the past year or year and a half or even 2 years. Hasn't really moved much. Pokemon Go, yes, it's making gains, but not very good. Crown Zenith is making gains, and I would expect it to continue. People really like Crown Zenith. It has some really big chase cards in it, and people just love opening up Crown Zenith. It was such a good set to end on as well. So we look at the overall value of this set, $774. This is a specialty set, don't forget. So way more than Shining Fates, way more than Celebrations, way more than Pokemon Go, way more than Champions Path. It doesn't just have 1 or 2 big chase cards and nothing else. This set really does deliver. In fact, it has more value in it than Silver Tempest. Battle Stars has more value in it than Brilliant Stars and even Astral Radiance. So let's take a look at the set. You have the Gold V-Stars, which really do carry this set. We got the Giratina over $100. You've got the other gold cards at around that 50 and above. The Mewtwo V-Star over 50. Then you got some evolutions which are holding good value over 20. You got the Legendary Beast coming in at over 20. And you just have cards that are just holding good value. And there's so many cards in this set which does hold good value. You've also got the Secret Rare Pikachu, which is an amazing card. But not only that, right, is it's got high pull rates, right? You're gonna get hit so much in this set. But that's fine because they're holding value. This is incredible. This set was so heavily printed, so heavily opened, and yet it is still holding incredible value. Could you imagine if this wasn't printed as much? Could you imagine if the pull rates were super tough? The value of these would be even higher, but it's still holding insane value, which in my opinion for a specialty set is very impressive. So where would I put Crown Zenith? It is better than all the other specialty sets that we have ranked in the Sword and Shield era. It just is, right? It just crushes all of them. It's got more value than Battle Stars. It's got more value than Silver Tempest. It's got more value than Astral. It's got more value than Brilliant Stars. It is a good set, especially for a specialty set. And it's only about $50, $55 in ETB, which is pretty good. Where would I put it? I would put it in A tier. I would probably put it... Would I put it above Fusion Strike? No. I would say that it is going to be a good one. The entry point is cheap, in my opinion, at around $50, $55 in ETB. The ceiling for an ETB will not be on the same level as these booster boxes. Keep that in mind. We're not talking about these booster boxes, this ETB reaching $500+ alongside these booster boxes. That is not the case. The ceiling will be much lower, but the entry point is also lower. If this ETB even gets up to a Hidden Fates level, which is around 170, 180 in ETB, you would have tripled your money. That's very, very impressive. So keep that in mind when looking at something like Crown Zenith, right? For you to triple your money with Fusion Strike, it would need to get to like $700 a booster box. And I do think it could potentially get there, but that is a big ask to get there, right? And that entry point is more compared to Crown Zenith. So I do think Crown Zenith is good. Overall, this is where I'm ranking all of the sets from the Sword and Shield era. Evolving Skies and Chill and Rain, I think, will be the best ones for the future. We'll have to wait and see, of course. I mean, Evolving Skies is just in a league of its own. If there was a separate tier, I'll put it in there. But I do think Chill and Rain just ekes it out above Lost Origin and Fusion Strike. But I do feel like the earlier Sword and Shield is definitely the weakest. Pokemon Go is also pretty bad. But yeah, anything from B tier and above, I think are really good products to invest in for that long term. You can dip your toes in some of the ones in C. I think, Celebrations, Vivid Voltage is pretty decent. You could even argue that Shining Fates might be okay as well. But honestly, the 2 and D tier are not really that great. If you're going to spend your money to buy a booster box, honestly, go for B and above. I think they're really great. There you have, guys. That is the ultimate Sword and Shield investing guide. I went through every single set. I know it was a long one, but I wanted to do a more in-depth look of Sword and Shield. Of course, things can change over time. This isn't set in stone. These booster boxes and sets across the board have gained insane amount over the past 12 months. In 12 months' time, we could be looking, when we're going towards the end of 2025, this list will probably change. There'll be some sets that just power through, and there'll be some that will just stay stagnant. Could Evolving Skies reach $2,000 a booster box, by the end of next year? Could we be seeing some of these sets break $500 by the end of next year? It is crazy to think that. Sword and Shield is one of the best eras right now, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. I mean, Scarlet and Violet is great, but Sword and Shield is fantastic. It's going to be interesting to see in the future where these sets will lie. We'll do a recap of this down the line and revise this as the sets mature, and a lot of the cards might also shift because there's still a lot of product around. So it'd be interesting to see when some of these sets really dry out where it will end up. But if you made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you. It has been a long one and I hope you enjoyed it. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. How would you rank these sets? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Of course, this is just my opinion. It'd be really interesting to see what you guys have to say as well. But I think I've got it just about right. You could swap a couple here and there. I know some of you may be like, Jace, what are you talking about? Pokemon Go clearly is better than Evolving Skies. Hey, wherever floats your boat. But if you want to know how I ranked these Scarlet and Violet era sets so far in another ultimate guide to investing in Scarlet and Violet, then make sure to click the video on the screen. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon content. But that is it from me, guys, in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.